Here we go. How is everybody doing? So my name is Crispina French. I'm a textile recycling entrepreneur, artist, activist, and coach. So I help textile upcycling entrepreneurs build truly sustainable businesses. And by that, I mean businesses that really support them in a way that allows for them to have like a savings account and health insurance and all the things that we need to have to live our lives in comfort and safety or whatever. But today, our focus is all about community and making in community, creating in community. So there's a couple of things. This is like one of my favorite topics, you guys. So before I launch off into my whole big long thing, I just want to say hey to everybody out there. Kimberly Clayman, how are you, my dear? Thanks for joining me. And I see a whole bunch of people waving to me on Instagram. So let me know, where are you tuning in from? Is this the first time you've found me at a live stream? Typically, my live streams happen at 11 a.m. on Tuesday mornings Eastern time. And today, because of our holiday week, I had to reschedule a little bit. So today we're meeting a little later in the day. It's always 20 minutes, and it's always talking about something that pertains and that is important to our textile upcycling and careful consumption mindset around here. So I started my business back in 1989. And since then, I've kind of followed a circuitous path to where I am now. And one of the things that came out of this pandemic that we're hoping, are we winding down? I don't know. I think we might be winding down the pandemic. Where I am in Western Massachusetts, we've actually had like really high numbers lately, but I feel like it's a less, it's not as dangerous as it has been in the past. So when it was really dangerous, when we were all first kind of like freaked out by the whole pandemic and kind of learning like, what is a pandemic anyway? I started a project called A Stitch Along, and it was just a collaborative sewing experience for people who wanted to join me. And we made a few blankets that were each component. So the blankets were made out of 7-inch squares, and each of the squares in the blankets was made by a different person. So people signed up to join. They bought kits from me, and then I taught a series of classes to teach all the different stitches involved and just to allow time for completion of the kit. And then the kits were sent back to me to compile into a blanket that was then sold, and all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, went to support a charity that was chosen for that particular project. So the first one, we supported local to me, a women's shelter for survivors of domestic violence. The second one, we supported an entity in White Plains, New York, called My Sister's Place, which is also it's an advocacy program for survivors of domestic violence in White Plains. So that they provide legal services and housing and on, education. It's just an amazing organization, as is the Elizabeth Freeman Center in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And we are just about to launch into our third Stitch Along, which is going to support a quilting studio in Gee's Bend, Alabama. And we are going to be co-hosting the Stitch Along with Mary Margaret Petway, who is one of the Gee's Bend quilters and was a presenter at our recent Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Summit that was all virtual, held online in April. So we're going to work together, Mary Margaret, myself, and Sandra Primo, who is our community manager of Stitcherhood, which is our online community for textile upcycling entrepreneurs. And there's the three of us are going to team teach the next Stitch Along, and we're going to change it up a little bit. So you can either purchase a kit from my shop, or if you want to, you can use the fabrics that you have already in your life that you can recycle and make them part of this amazing collaborative blanket-like, quilt-like blanket. It's not really quilted. They're not really quilted, but they're stitched. And then each square has the name of the sewer on the back of the square. So it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm super excited to support an endeavor that's going on in Gee's Bend. If you're not familiar, I encourage you to look up Gee's Bend. Is anybody out there familiar with Gee's Bend? Hi, Lynn from Lansing, Michigan. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining me today. Yeah, so I'd love to know if anybody who is listening is able to tell me about Gee's Bend. What do you know about Gee's Bend? Because I am just completely enamored by the whole Gee's Bend aesthetic and history and legacy, and to carry that into the future is just something I feel so excited about participating in. So if you are interested in carrying a legacy that is 5 generations old, maybe more, I'm not sure. We'll have to ask Mary Margaret. You can be a piece of it, right? Like you can support this circle of women down in Boykin, Alabama, by providing a space for them to have more people than they're able to accommodate in a quilting space at the moment. So that's going to be super exciting. Yes, and Lynn says Gee's Bend has an incredible history. The little snippet that I know, which we'll talk to Mary Margaret, will give us a lot more insight on this. But Gee's Bend was part of a plantation in Alabama, and the people who live there are descendants of slaves. And they initially used clothing to make quilts because they were cold and they didn't have any fabric. And that tradition has carried through 5 generations later. And we are so the first time I ever saw Gee's Bend quilts, I was like, it was like a spiritual experience for me. It was amazing. Just like I literally, like, I couldn't speak. And it was at the Whitney Museum in New York City. I think I guess it was probably 25 years ago now. And I really didn't have that much information about what I was going to see. I just thought, oh, quilt show, that sounds cool. And when I saw it, it was just like the most beautiful textile art, recycled textile art that to this day I've ever witnessed in person. So really super moving. So their work travels all over the world. There was actually a series of United States postage stamps made with imagery of their quilts. And it's a very small community. I think there's under 300 people in Gee's Bend total. And it's an agricultural community. There's a lot of farming that goes on there and a lot of sewing. So I'm really super excited to bring Mary Margaret on as a co-host for our next Stitch Along. And it's just a beautiful community thing. Like it's beautiful because it's all of us gathering together on Zoom calls. I do a series of classes where you just learn what needs to be learned. If you don't have any experience, not to worry. I have taught people how to make squares for the Stitch Along who have absolutely never threaded a needle before. So do not feel like you can't participate if you don't have experience. If you do have experience, even better. And we're looking forward to welcoming a large group of people to that so that we can raise a lot of money and really give. Our United States has this beautiful long history of upcycled textiles, and it started with the Gee's Bend people and people like them. There was probably lots of other places in the United States South, or probably all over the United States, because there were slaves all over the United States, where people just made what they needed out of what they had, right? So this is now what we do because we are environmentally conscientious. But at the time, it was more like they didn't have anything else and they needed function. They needed to stay warm. So to bring that through into a place where we're able to nurture and support that legacy going forward, I feel like it's our duty. It's our sacred duty to just like really honor that, right? And be a part of it. How cool. So that is one piece of the community making that I love and support, and would love to engage as many of you are as possible in participating in. And if you are not already on my email list, I encourage you to hop on there, or you can stay in touch with me here too. But if you're on the email list, we'll send you notification as soon as we have our schedule in mind for the Stitch Along. So that's one thing. And then there's this other thing. There's actually three things that I'm going to share with you today. But sometimes I feel like I just do a lot of talking and I want to really connect with you guys. So I see people saying amazeballs, which is one of my favorite expressions. And it is going to be amazeballs. Somebody pinch me. Like, I'm collaborating with G's Bent. Hey, little old me. I'm enabling you to collaborate with G's Bend. G's Bend is like just like such a it's such a beautiful, long-lived, ongoing story of our history as a country and as our history as textile upcyclers. There's just so many pieces of it that just speak to my heart, and I'm so excited to be able to work in concert with these beautiful women and also to offer that to you. So, I'm just so happy about it. I cannot wait to bring that all together. So stay tuned on that. Stitch along. These sample squares that I just showed you are from previous. This is actually a sample. This did not. It has not been used yet, but I'm actually working up some squares. Where for the stitch along with Mary Margaret and I will come up with those designs together, and then we'll be unveiling those designs as they come about. So in the next week or two, you'll see those. In the meantime, did you guys hear about the Rags to Riches Summit? Is anybody here who actually participated or attended the summit? I'd love to know. Amazeballs. Who said that? Is that Chris Sullivan or Silverman? Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I usually do the balls with a BALLZ, so it kind of matches Amazeballs. But yeah, Amazeballs is right. So let me get back to the summit. In April of just recently, we had a summit it was called the Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Summit. And it was kind of like this it was a culmination of many years of desire for me, where I have met so many amazing people across the world who do beautiful work with used textiles. And for years I was thinking, how do we bring all these people together in a way to spotlight what they're doing and bring awareness to our need to be really thoughtful about consuming textiles in general, and then to address something that is deemed a crisis with creativity and fun. Like, I don't know, what could be better, right? So this spring, I was able to bring all of those ideas full circle and gather an amazing group of presenters together to share their stories and their expertise and their know-how about building their creative textile upcycling businesses. It was all virtual, 3 solid days of just like, oh my goodness, like blow me away. Holy crow, these people were just like so inspiring. Even though they're people who I might have known for many years, like every single time I watch the recordings of those presentations, I'm just like, I hear something else or something else speaks to me. So if you weren't able to attend the summit this spring, we are going to host our 2nd annual, and we're hoping that it, continues on like G's Bend. We're hosting our 2nd annual Rags to Riches Textile Upcycling Summit in April 2023. And in the meantime, we had this like real interest in people who kind of didn't know about it in time, people who were really interested in like, what was that all about? So we have prepared a catalog of recordings, and those will be going on sale coming up soon. And I think it's next week. I believe it's Thursday of next week. And we're just going to offer it for a short time, a short little window of time, so you can have access to those recordings. We're going to be posting a lot more about that as we formulate all the details, but they'll be yours to access. You'll be able to like watch those and like learn from all the people who joined us. The roster of presenters we had Mary Margaret Petway from G's Bend, who actually attended the summit live. So there is no recording with Mary Margaret, because I'll tell you something, I thought I had bad internet access. G's Bend has worse internet access. So she joined us live, but we did have people join us from all across the world. We had somebody from Pakistan join us. We had people from the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest and the Seattle area. We had Fab Scrap from New York City with us. We had El Reli from Los Angeles with us, and makers that have been doing this work for 25 years or more, and people who are just burgeoning, these young, amazing designers that are just like making magic happen with their creative spin on this age-old technique. So I really encourage anybody who didn't get to attend that live to just check out those recordings. They're it's I can't remember how many hours it is of recordings, but those will be available to you to access as you can. There's no time limit to that access. So if Lynn, I just see Lynn, she says that she participated. And Lynn, if you have a second, if you're still with us, maybe just type in like something that you took away from the summit that was meaningful for you. So other people, they don't just have to take my word for it, because I feel like, I'm a little biased. And I think that sometimes when people hear from others who were, not necessarily associated with the development of the product, it's maybe a little bit more meaningful. So, and if anybody else, if you're watching this as a recording or if you're listening live and you have either questions about the Rags to Riches Summit, or you experienced it and you have any kind of feedback to share, I feel like that would be super useful for folks who are just considering the idea of purchasing those recordings. So those are two things that have a lot to do with community. And to me, like, community is so important. And I have one more thing I'm going to share with you. But before I do, I would like to reach out to everybody who is with me now, who's participating in our live stream here, and ask you, what is most important? If you can think of one word that's most important to you about community and how that plays a role in your life. If you're listening to this as a recording, pop your response in. It's always helpful. I go back and look at these responses. It really helps me understand what you guys find valuable and how I can serve you better. So if you have any feedback or input on how community plays a role in your life or in your business, if that's an important factor for you, or if you'd like to build something like that into your life that you might be lacking right now, let us know. Because the last thing I want to share with you today is a little, just a shout out about a community that I built online. It's an online membership community. It's called Stitcherhood. And Stitcherhood it's just like this safe, nurturing, warm place for people who are upcycling, recycling, or reusing textiles. So if you're interested in talking to people who aren't going to look at you cross-eyed and think you're super weird when you tell them that you recycle old clothing to make new cool things, Stitcherhood is the right place for you. There's a growing community there. We have meetings, we have stitch hours, we have professional profiles, we have a really super fun interaction. There's a feed of notes and experiences and just stories and articles and links to really cool things that you can learn about. So Stitcherhood is something that I encourage everybody who's interested in textile upcycling to just check out. It's a membership that does cost money, so you can buy in for $10 monthly. You can just check it out. We have a 7-day free trial. So, if you get in there for 7 days and you're just like, hey, you know what? Stitcherhood's not really working for me. You don't really have to stay. You can just head out. And if you're somebody who gets in there and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like heaven on earth, you can stay for $10 a month. There's other, higher levels of buy-in if you're interested, but we're actually changing that up a little bit. So I encourage you to just hop in there for the $10 monthly fee, and if that's serving you. And I just want to tell you, with all of this online interaction that we share today, right? I know from personal experience that I've bought into things where I'm thinking of one particular company where I bought into something. It was like a $30 a month membership fee or whatever. And I decided after a month that I really wasn't actually using it, and I wanted to cancel. And they wanted me to pay them $60 to cancel my $30 a month membership. That is not what we do. We're not, I'm just like super not into that whole thing at all. If you get into Stitcherhood and you don't get in Stitcherhood for 7 days, you sign up and something comes up and you're not able to really dive into it and you're not sure if it's going to work for you, you can contact us. You can just email us, hello@crispina.eco, and you can say, hey, my free trial passed and I didn't have a chance to check it out. Would I be able to get an additional week just to look around and see if it serves me? Absolutely. I mean, not a question. If you get in there and you realize that it's, you've been in there a month and you haven't had a chance to use it or whatever, let me know. I can help you. You can actually unsubscribe at any time. There's no like, you have to sign up for a year, anything like that. So it's your people. We're doing the best we can to serve value to other nice people. And I feel like reaching out, communicating, asking for what you need is always what we encourage. So please don't feel like it's something that is going to be hard to navigate getting out of if it doesn't work for you. But I really want to say, and I want to really like underline this, all caps, it's amazing. It's awesome. So I just read a quick thing that popped up on my screen. Lynn Hirschberger, who says Stitcherhood was the best part of the summit. So the summit was awesome. And Lynn, I'd like to know, like, I know Lynn's mom had an accident during, I think was it right before or during the summit where she wasn't able to actually participate live in the summit all that much, but she was able to catch the recordings. So that was awesome. And it's really just, Stitcherhood is a place where people who are textile, I like to call them, they're textile-centric upcycling nerds gather. And I am the queen of the textile upcycling nerds. Okay, so if you want to come over there and hang out with people who have a sensibility that we all share, I think that you would love it. So I'm going to just put, if you're on Instagram, if you go to that link tree at the bio there, I don't know, is it a profile or a bio, whatever it is. If you go there, you will find a link to the Stitcherhood. And I'm going to pop a link in there's a YouTube and Facebook comments that you'll see that I just typed the link in there. So that is what I got for community today, you guys. I really try to keep these sessions to 20 minutes. And I hope that this was helpful for you because honestly, community is what it just makes my heart sing. I love to participate. I love the people in real life community. I love to, be a solutionary when things arise that are, maybe disagreements or things that are, could be a conflict or controversial, to talk about them and to work them out in a way where most people involved are feeling pretty comfortable and heard. So that is what I love to do, and I welcome you to my community, and I look forward to seeing you out there in the world. And I just wanted to say, Michelle Casey, thanks for commenting. Community in upcycling helps keep inspiration in this area going, right? Like, you know what, Michelle, I gotta say, as a textile upcycler, we get to create community in our making process, right? It's just by the nature of what we do. So keep it going out there. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and have a really beautiful rest of your Tuesday. Thanks for joining me. Bye.